Hi and welcome to a getting started video for the Ignite server. In this video what we're going to be doing is we're going to show you some of the hosting capabilities and how you can actually host your applications in either a console app, web job, Windows service, or in the cloud, or a managed environment where you can deploy from a centralized location using the application hub. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need a application to host. So I'm going to use the security, which is here. And what this is a simple application that has two endpoints, one for encryption, one for decrypting a message using PGP. So first thing I'll do is I'll show you it running. So actually before that I'll just quick run through. Right, what we have is we have a HTTP listener which listens on this URL and takes two messages, an encryption and a decryption path, both posts. If it's an encrypt, all it does is it converts the message or the stream to a PGP encrypted stream, and here we set our response payload to the stream's text. And here we using decrypt. First of all, we check whether we've got an access key token. If we have, then we allow it to come down here where we convert the incoming stream to a seekable stream, and then we can convert it to PGP. And again, this just decrypts. This here just adds the decrypted stream to the response which returned. So if we just go here to our discover URL, it just shows us what's available. So we've got two posts, encrypt and decrypt. So I'll quickly show you encryption. So we need to do post, body, and hello. So that's created a PGP message. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go decrypt, and we should see a forbidden error, which is what we expected. So I'm going to quickly add an access key, send it again, and there we go, that's our response. So that's all working. So here we have it running in our Dev Studio environment. What we can do is we can run it on our development server. So all I need to do is right click, start on dev server. This means we can have multiple applications running, and it's perfect when you're developing one application which relies on several other different services. So what I can do, as you can see, it's all working. So what we need to do now, if we want to run it elsewhere in its own separate process, is we need to, well, we could just right click and then package it as a console application. But to do that, we're going to go to the settings and make our base URL editable. And what this does is when we now release it wherever we release it, we can change that setting. So if we install it somewhere, that allows the installer to change that setting to whatever base URL we want. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run it as a console app. So create our install. Extract it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this application here, and if I run it, we have failed to listen on pipe because it conflicts with another. That's because we're already running it here. So let's try that again. And that's working. Just going to go with the encrypt one again. Yep. So now what we want to do is we want to change this URL. So I'm just going to change this part, because if we change this part, we need to run it as administrator or open up the port. So go back, cancel that, go to our host again. I'll just make this clearer. Because we made our base URL editable, we can now, when we run the application, set it to whatever we want it to be. So this is our current value, so we're going to change it to, I'll just copy all of that. So my service. You could change the port or anything if you wanted to, but I just want to run it at that. So now when we run it, we will see that this fails. But if we change this to my service, it works. And so that is how you run it as a console app with editable values, editable settings. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to run it as a Windows service, and for that we need to create a Windows installer. So I'm going to go to my start page and use or download my application manager, and this is basically the Windows service which is going to host all our applications. So just put in my details and wait while it installs it. And as you can see, the actual installer itself is written using the platform. I'm just wondering if I put the right credentials in. No, I didn't. So, have a look. Specified service already exists. I've already installed this, so do that. I'm just going to what it should have done then is when it installed it or failed, it should have actually uninstalled it. So this one then should work. So There it is. We're going to have a look at, just refresh this, and there we have our service. So now what I can do is I can right click and deploy to our application manager. And as you can see, it deploys two files. One is our settings, our editable settings, and the other one is the actual package itself. And as you can see, it's now running. So quick check. Yep. And I'll go to I'm going to go to where it's installed, so it's here, and if we have a look at the logs, yep, call it again, and you can see it's all up and running. So what else we could do is, obviously I've deployed it directly to the application manager, so I could package it up for application manager. So just start again. I can copy those and just drop them in the folder. Find it. Here we go. And what it'll do, it'll stop the other one and restart this one. So deployment is really simple for a service. And if I wanted to go back to the old version, just remove it, and it should fire up the other one. Yeah. So that's that. So if we wanted to stop it, we just delete the files. Okay, so that's all well and good, but we want to have now a centralized location for deploying the applications, a centralized website, and we're going to deploy to many different sites or many different instances. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to install the application hub. And what this is, it consists of our dashboard, which is built in Angular, our command hub, which deals with all incoming messages and everything, and deployment, and then finally our client, which is basically where a little application which we put on other machines, and it registers it themselves with our hub, and we can just fire them off to where we want and fire the installations off. So this itself was written in using the platform. So we've got a new template, our application hub. So we do that, and I'm going to show you the dashboard first. This is just our REST application, our web API application, which has several methods on it. So you've got your gets for displaying, you've got your posts, which are your commands, and this is all using event sourcing. So let's just show you the code. So right click, open Visual Studio. Right, what I'm going to do is right click and hold down the control key and open Visual Studio, and that fires up the project with admin rights, which then allows us to have a look at the website itself. So I'm going to close the first one down. So what we're going to do is we're going to install each of these things. So we've got our dashboard, and this is the middleware bit. We've got our hub deployment, which handles the control messages coming in and basically sends back the install package and says this is what you need to install. We've got the messaging, where we control all the input messages and make sure everything's running smoothly. And there's no code behind this. This is all in the project itself. And then we've got the client, and this deals with getting what it needs to be deployed, and deploying it, installing it, and monitoring it, and sending back any messages back to our hub. So that's that. So this looks like it's alright. I've closed down the wrong one. Let's try it again. So as you can see, we have a few bits of red. So we need a service name and a shared secret value. So what I'm going to do is, as it's a WCF relay or service bus relay, I'm going to use our blue Pear demo as a service name. So I'm going to go into global settings to start with, and so we've got Azure service namespace, I think it is. That's quick. Service namespace, yeah. And just get the key. So the client relay is slightly different. It doesn't use global values, it uses local values. So I'm going to have to delete those. Promote our global values again. There we go. And just make these editable. These need to be editable for when we're deploying in the cloud, using the cloud service, which you'll see later. So I'm just going to close a few of these up. So that's okay. Let's try our hub messaging. Yeah, that's fine. That seems to be working. So if we go back to our application, and this is all the code behind the application hub. First thing I'm going to do is install the website, and the website has got nothing in it. It's just content. It's got no web API. That's all done through the service itself that we built. So create a virtual directory. Fire that up. Right. Just need to check something. Right, I'm just going to remove all the web server stuff. And fire our dashboard up. Now what it's doing at the moment, it's installing two databases that the application hub's going to use. First is our events database, and the second is our query database. So I'll quickly show you those. As you can see, solution events and my query database. So let's see if we can find out why this is not working. Insufficient permissions. So I am going to cheat. I'll pull that back, and I'm going to so yes, I'm going to remove I'm going to remove that. Right, as we can see, we have our application and 5 simple pages: search, config, what's going on, and what's installed. So now we've got that up and running, we're going to fire up the rest of our stuff. So deployment, start dev, messaging, and if we go back here, go to relays, as you can see, we've got a deployment and our messaging relay available. It's just been created. So let's start a client, and we should now have wait, and our client should inform our hub that it's ready to take applications. So just wait till that comes through. There we go. And it's telling us CPU and what the machine's actually doing. So now we've got those running. I'm going to go back to our security application. And I'm going to deploy it. So deploy to application hub. And it's successfully deployed. So if we go back to our dashboard. You can see it's deployed it. We've got our base URL that we can change, and we can deploy it wherever we want. Our commodity. I'll quickly show you where the word commodity comes from. Actually, this commodity is an instance role name for the client that we have. So I'll show you that. And you have multiple instance names. The idea behind it is you can attach any application roles to an instance name and deploy it across various architectures. So our instance name is in here. Instance role name, commodity. Alright, so now all we need to do is we need to publish it and install it or start it up. So as you can see, it's started. I've just clicked it and it's just come through. So click it a few times, and there we go. And you can see the resource information. If I go back to here, you can see this machine is running that project and all the total message counts and throughputs and everything. Go to search, we can actually look at all our versions that have been installed, and we can say all the DLLs and all the versions. We can also see when it's been started and stopped. And if we just go here, we can also see all our events when the project start is published and installed, and we can just filter them. So whatever. Right, now that's running, what we're going to do is we want to host it on the cloud or in the cloud. So if we go back to our code here, we see we have a service and a worker role. So I'm just going to make sure our settings are right. So I'm going to install this North Europe and I'm going to call it North Europe demo. And I just need to add these settings. And the reason why these and the client themselves were editable is so we can change them. We can have a single Azure service and deploy it multiple times with different shared secret values and different instance name, and that's why. So now that's done, I'm going to publish it. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to deploy it. Let's cancel that. So I'm going to create a new one. And North Europe. Just going to use defaults. and publish it. So this should take roughly about 10 minutes to install. So just make sure it works or is working first to install. So what I'm going to do is, while that installs, I'm going to just stop the video and restart it and show you how to deploy. Just make sure this is going. Yep. Hi, and as you can see now, it's the Azure Cloud Service has been installed. There was a slight problem, but that was because I'd actually deleted a setting, editable setting in the client. Well, that's now fixed. Okay, so what we should see now is, if we look at our resources, our machine fired up, and there it is. So we're going to quickly now install our security service onto that machine, and all we do that is we just click add, and that should be automatically deployed. Just let me publish and start this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just show you how we can add resources or running machines to existing applications. So we'll just wait for that to fire up, check it a couple of times. Yep. And now we're going to add our cloud service. So what we should see is that should automatically fire up and be shown as running here. And there it is. So I'm going to quickly go to here and just test it. And there we have it. And right, so what you've seen here is, if we just take stock, is a simple application, a security service application built and deployed, first of all as a console application, then as a Windows service, then as a managed service on-premise, and finally we've got it running and deployed in the cloud. And that is without using any other application, so we don't need to use Install Shield or Wix or something like that to create our install. We don't need to use Microsoft's Release Manager or something like Octopus, because this automatically deploys for you, and we don't have to worry about setting up any settings in our deployment scripts, because as you can see, it's very easy to do that. And what I'm going to do actually now is I'm going to show you how easy it is to do the settings, because I'm going to update our service. And what I'm going to do is, if we look at our simple access key, it's hard coded, so we're going to create a new version and we're going to make that editable. So first of all, I'm going to add a new setting. Call this, actually I'm going to remove that one, create a new one called access key. Just going to call it JK as well, and we're going to make it editable. Go back to our service, access key, and we're going to use that property. The square brackets really means it's going to be updated at compile time. So now I'm going to deploy that again to our application hub. So that's successfully been deployed, and we see the new version here, and we'll see we've got our access key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the version. Deselect that. I'm going to use our new version, and I'm going to call our access key JK2. Update. Publish and start again. And we should be able to run it because our encrypt doesn't actually use the access key. So just make sure. Yep. And if we go to decrypt, we'll put the old access key in. Access key JK, and copy that and use it as our body. We'll see that's forbidden. So go to our headers and try JK2, and there we go. So now anytime we want to change our access key, we can just change it in here. That's all been set up. So that is showing us exactly how we can deploy to cloud, on-premise, or anything like that. So now I'm going to quickly show you how to add a new client to our list of resources. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to our client again. So we're going to open Solution, Application Hub. And here I'm going to create a console app from our client. So this is our console app, and I'm going to put this on my local machine. I'm going to extract it. And I'm going to run it. And now that's running, if we go back to our installation and go back here, we should see our new machine appear here. Let's go back, see why that's not doing it. So there we go. It took its time, but eventually did it. And now I'm going to show you how we can deploy it to a local machine. So I'm going to show you some details, and as you can see we've got 2 hosts running. So I want to create another host by again just, it's already started because we've set it as a commodity machine. So there we go. So if we stop this, we should see one of these disappear. There we go. And that's it. That's how we add another machine to our list of resources. And I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.